Hi everyone, welcome to the last Ask Jim for the year, and obviously in this format as well moving forward, which is the surprise announcement. So yeah, we'll just do a few.
From next year we'll be going during training. So it's every 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll have a session with a live audience and so forth. I think that'll run a bit better. And
I think we're planning to get a franchisee on as well. So for like 10 to 15 minutes as well. Bit of inspiration for everyone. You can ask me a lot of questions. So yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of giveaways and things like that. So tonight, obviously it's Christmas, so we're going to do a lot of giveaways. We've got hats as well. So maybe you can put the hat on for a bit. I don't know if you want to wear that. We can put it on for a bit. So this will be the last one for the year, and Happy New Year everyone as well. So make sure you give us some comments and questions in here, because I've got all this merch here. I don't know if you can see it in the screen. I'm going to push it over here. So this is a bit of dead stock and things like that. So this is going to be given to people who share primarily or comment on the feed. And these are great bears. I don't know why more people aren't getting these. We have any division as well for these. And this is some rare stuff. So these are brand new, but these have been sun faded because they've been on the IT on the window for years.
Okay,
and they've been bleached. So these are one-offs, these are retro, and these are really cool. And there's some other stuff here from other divisions as well. So make sure you share the stream or comment or let everyone know. And you can be in a chance for that. So let's get into it, Jim. Cool. So if Eric Jurgens is tuning, which is fantastic, then David says, so it's good evening, so the rumours are false. Joel did not lose his job. That's not nice. That's not nice at all. Gee whiz.
Joel's pretty secure. Don't you worry about that.
Gee whiz, David, you had me worried there, mate. That's not very nice. But saying that, job stands for just over broke for anyone, so he wants to buy a franchise. Be a franchisee. You don't have to worry about that. Eric Jurgens says, I trust you had a fantastic break and holiday, Joel. Nice to see you back in time too. How did Jake go last week? I forgot Jake was on.
Yeah, he was all right.
He was all right?
I don't think anybody could complain about it.
Do you think he can give it back to you as well? Did he give it back to you at all? Or not really?
No, not really. That's a bit much.
Too soon.
I think he basically goes to be nice to see you back in time to be able to take off and have your Christmas vacation. Yeah, won't be having much of a vacation this year. And we've got people saying Merry Christmas to Jim and his family as well.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not crazy about vacations, as most people know.
Well, what are you doing for your Christmas break? I know we did a video during the week, but what are you doing for it?
We're going down to the beach for a few days between Christmas and New Year. That's that deadest week of the year when nothing happens. So I'll be with my family, and then come New Year's Day back into it.
New Year's Day?
Oh, day after.
Day after. You have a bit of a break, you deserve.
No, I like breaks.
Do you take off any emails? You don't take any everyday's emails, or do you do?
No, I just keep on working. I've got a dongle, so I'll take emails on Christmas Day. I don't really mind. To me, holidays are boring fundamentally.
And then Eugene is saying they're his hats. I've got a message from Eugene in IT saying they're his hats. Well, you haven't done much of them, so they're going to go away tonight, Eugene in IT, unfortunately as well. We've got Haydar Hussein tuning in as well, which is saying Merry Christmas to all. And what's he saying here? All the best for the New Year. So best New Year's resolutions, Jim? What one do you have for people? Put your New Year's resolutions in the comments as well, guys. Let us know what you're going to do.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Nothing specific except that, we're going to work harder and achieve a lot more. There's a lot of exciting things going on with Jim's Plus and Jim's Jobs and all kinds of stuff, particularly with software development, actually. I think that's going to be a big thing to push it ahead.
Absolutely.
And I'm reorganising my research project, which is looking very promising. We're having some talks with Latrobe University tomorrow afternoon, actually, to see if they can do some of the analysis and things. So I'm really confident it'll be a great year.
Oh, fantastic.
Hopefully better than 2020. That's not asking much, is it?
Well, I was almost going to start off with the summary of the year, but yeah, what a year for everyone who's watching. You've seen the sort of progression through the year. It's been every week we've done it.
Well, apart from the Victorian lockdown, it's actually been pretty good.
Right.
I mean, we've had incredible demand for our services. Most franchisees are flooded and overflowing, and we've had a great year for growth where we started off like 3,900, a bit under. We're now to 416 something.
416?
Yeah, so it's almost 5% growth, which is a lot for us.
It's been a great year. People are sort of just saying, well, I need to do something, and Jim's has been a great option for people.
And yeah, we've got so much work in an economy which has got so many blank spots, so people see the opportunity.
Obviously, you had the national coverage as well, so we'll just touch on a few highlights. We had the whole national coverage, and Ask Jim spiked obviously when the coronavirus hit. I think we had 400 viewers on one live stream, which is a nuts number.
Oh, it's amazing. People are still coming up to me all the time. I had somebody come up to me in church, and somebody when we were eating out at a restaurant, and I get it all the time.
I did a panel last week, and I did it with a Liberal MP, and he said what you've done has been fantastic. Because they couldn't say a lot of the stuff they wanted to say. They weren't allowed to because of the party. So
Yeah, I could be a wild card. I wouldn't like to be in politics. That's a tough game.
But they would restrict what you say though. Richard Riordan was his name. He's the member down in Colac, and he's saying, they got to be careful. You can't say certain things. You get pulled behind, sort of things like that. So you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, difficult politics because you've got to stick by what the party line says, and you've got to be careful not to make mistakes. I could just say what I like. I verbal diarrhea. I say whatever I feel like and have a go at anybody I want. There's no consequences really.
I think in history though, the Arse Gym when we had during the lockdown, will go down. People go back and watch those. I reckon in 3 or a couple of years' time just to see. It'll be quite interesting. Be very interesting, I think.
We've got a few hundred T-shirts with...
Let Victoria work. I've got one.
Let Victoria work too. If anyone wants those, we'll give them away.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
And the caps, the white ones with the black writing, if anybody wants any.
Caps look very cool. I reckon they look very good. So I've got one.
I bought too many. We got he cut the lockdown. He ceased the lockdown, so we didn't actually get rid of them all. Most of them went, but...
They're great shirts I've got one. They're really nice. They breathe a little cotton there. They're actually good shirts. A bit of history as well. So how can they get one? What's the best?
Just ask from the gym shop. You can come and we'll either just charge you the postage, or if you want to come pick them up, you can just grab them.
Okay, so pick them up from National or email national@gyms.net, and we can organise from the shop as well. Then Darren Eddard says Merry Christmas, Jim, and to you all your family as well.
Thanks, Darren.
Then Eric Jurgen says the same thing. I would like to just wish all the people at Jim's Group a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. That hopefully this year is full of prosperity. And thank you to everyone for all the help they've been through this difficult year.
Big year for Mobile Cafe. Got the second franchisee joining. By the end of the year, I hope we'll have 10. I really would think that should work.
Coffee's all round.
All
hot chocolates.
Hot chocolates. Don't like coffee. Tastes disgusting.
I love coffee. I'm addicted to it, unfortunately. So.
Shame the coffee machine's not working.
Yeah. And Sasha's gone, g'day guys. How would you describe the window pressure cleaning market in Melbourne? Are there many competitors to Jim's from Sash?
Yeah. There's competitors, but we tend to be killing them. That's just the story all over. What we can do is, if you're interested, if you want to know, I can. If you email me, Jim@jims.net, I'll tell you any of the unserviced leads we've got, which is often a good way of understanding what's going on.
So Sash, Jim@jims.net, and ask for the unserviced leads report for what you're
I do that all the time. People just come to me and say, should I join it? And I say, should I join? Is there enough work? And I say, okay, this is the unserviced leads in your area, and I just send them out a list.
That's it. And obviously the number of the franchisees as well, if you want to chat to them.
Yeah. Well, most of the franchisees, you talk to the franchisor, they'll give you the details of the franchisees. But what I can do is tell you what work's available, which is a lot.
Then Darren Addard's gone here, Jim, you are an inspiration to all Australians.
Thank you.
You're putting yourself in a good running there for a prize there, Darren. That's a good comment. And then we have David Don says, Jim, have you more or less confidence in the Big Dan with hotel quarantine?
Huh. Well, you couldn't have less confidence, could you?
No, I'm not. I still don't understand why they're going to the Novotel but not staying at the one at the airport. Why is there any travel at all?
Yeah, I don't think they'll make the same mistake again.
Oh, gee whiz,
I cannot comprehend that guy is still a premier after what he's done. After killing close to 1,000 Victorians by his own incompetence. I just don't know why people put up with that. I'm not making a fuss anymore. As far as I'm concerned, my guys are back at work. We are still pursuing the cases, though.
Okay.
We've got the case for compensation directly under the 2008 Act, which Dan Andrews himself put forward, and that's been rejected. We've got a test case going through VCAT, and apparently the government's taking it seriously. They've hired like QCs and stuff. So we're going to be fighting it quite seriously as a test case, and if we lose this, we'll appeal it to the next court. So that's still being pursued, and the class action through carbon lawyers is still going ahead. So we're still pursuing it. I just want my franchisees and independents in the same situation who's been hurt. I want them to get fair compensation because they should never have been shut down. But apart from that, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, well, let's be clear. It's all sole traders, isn't it? All sole traders.
All the people in the same situation, particularly people who are like the gardeners and so forth, working outside by themselves, no conceivable risk to the public or to themselves, who are shut down for no reason except for Daniel Andrews thought it might be politically a good idea. Didn't want to back down. So I think they deserve compensation for what they've lost.
And just a reminder as well, guys, we're going to do January the 11th is our first training back. And we're going to do a barbecue. So the barbecue is going to be January 11 for everyone who was asking, for our Ask Jim people. So people who watch Ask Jim, remember we're going to do the...
What, you went across the training centre?
Yeah, at the training. So we obviously have Ask Jim on that week. And we remember how we're going to do the barbecue to celebrate number 100, but we're going to push it forward and do it at that one there.
Yeah. I think we can invite our regular contributors to come along and be part of the fun.
Yeah, come along, part of the fun. We'll put an event. Please respond so we know for catering how much to get. So if we do put that event card up, I'll obviously reach out as well. Then Dave McDonald says, Jim, you have... here we go. Darren Attard says, let's hope 2021 brings us all new beginnings and hope. And then Eric Jurgen says, Jim, I won't be taking holidays. Either I'm having the main days and then we'll be still visiting all the businesses that are open. So Eric's no days off.
Good on you.
And Sash says he's going to...
It's a holiday, Eric. Come on. If you love what you do, that's your holiday.
Every day's a holiday for Eric. Just gets out there chatting to people, making
yeah.
lattes.
That's what you need for that job. You just got to be a real people person, and Eric is that. Find people of that nature. I'd be terrible at it. I just go, here's your coffee. It's disgusting stuff. I don't want
I can't imagine you making small talk about the footy or anything.
No, I don't think I'd be very good at it. I have my talents, not many of them, but they certainly don't include that.
A few jokes.
That's absolutely right. Oh no, you have a few jokes though. You could just run off your jokes. You'd be right.
I think I'd run out after a short time.
And Sasha's gone. He's going to email you. So he says thanks, Jim. Now Craig here. This is a good one. So Craig's gone. Hi Craig Watson. Hi, I've started last year. Now I'm starting to take people that wish to come into Jim's Mowing and show them what to do. It's just a chance to train people and just a great operation to see if people can take on the role as future Jims. Merry Christmas to you and all your Jim's family. Jim's Mowing Denham Court. So he's a trainer now. So he started last year, and now he's already a trainer.
It's a great thing that you know so much you can actually help others. I really love that. And so many of our leading people in gyms actually started that way as trainers, showing a willingness to help others and a wanting to help others. And we see that and you think, can we put you into a position of leadership? I reckon there's a lot of franchisees that really, we should be helping them to go further. There's many roles now coming up, franchisor roles, renting divisions, all kinds of things that we're doing.
A lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And Damien Dice says, Jim, my only New Year's resolution is to finally hire a staff member, either apprentice or trained, maybe do a split with Ararat and Stall. You've been saying that for a while, David. You should do it.
Yes. Well,
it's a great business.
You're going to find it hard to find somebody as good as you, but yes, absolutely, why not? You would have thought in a regional centre you'd be able to there'd be a demand for work, because what we find is that usually people who live in regional centres tend to be, they like to live there because the living cost is cheap and it's a good environment and you're small town and this kind of thing, but at the same time there's not always a lot of work there. So people have to come and live in a big crowded smelly city to get jobs when they'd rather, because that's what's happening now with COVID and people staying long distance, and most of our staff is still working from home, and people love that. So you can live anywhere you want to. And still have a good job based on the city.
Any hiring tips for David? What should you look for?
Just try people out, David. It's really hard to tell. You just never know. Some of the best people they don't interview very well. You just couldn't pick. I mean, yeah. I find I'm not good at choosing people at all. You put somebody in place. But what I try and do is to keep in touch with the staff and know what they're doing, which of course you can do very easily because you're there every day. So just try people out. Just anybody who seems okay, give them a go. Take them out for a day or two and see what they can do. And eventually you'll find somebody good. But I don't know interviewing how useful that is. I just don't think you can pick very well.
If you do have a cough, you can use a mask as well, guys. So that's really the gym's not net.
This is not that. It's a bit of asthma, that's all.
I was saying to someone today, that's not more of a standard line now. As soon as you have a cough, it's not COVID. I've heard that one a few times already. It's crazy. But
it's wonderful things are opening up though. It's just so great. I love going back to church. It's just fantastic. It just lifts the whole week. And then being able to go out into restaurants and things, and people are starting to take their masks off because nobody's getting infected at all, which is really quite amazing. So it's fun. And then hopefully, around about Easter and so forth, we'll start to get the vaccine.
Yeah, March, I think. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, well I'll definitely be in it for it. I think people are crazy that don't want to take it, considering what damage the thing can do if you do get it.
Absolutely. And Darren Addard says, Jim, I know you've been asked this before. How and what did you do to get gyms off and running? So I think Darren's a first-time watcher. So what is it to what it is now? What was your inspiration? Thanks, from Darren Attard.
Look, there's two things basically. First of all, I always, emotionally speaking, have a tremendous passion for service to customers. It's just it goes beyond reason or economic sense. I just hated letting customers down. I wanted to do the best job. And when I became a franchisor, the same thing. I wanted to make my franchisees successful. So that's an emotional drive, which is very, very powerful. But the other thing really, and this applies to any business at all, it's not so much any one thing. It's 1,000, tens of thousands of little things. When I was mowing lawns, I was always trying to work out a better way to do it, a better way to travel, a better way to do a better job faster. Every day of my working life, you've got to look at what you're doing and be critical. The people who succeed, and it's often interesting, I find the people who are best, people like Haidar Hussein, for example, they're quite humble. They're always prepared to learn and to listen. And they always want to know more. And the people that are failing are often doing so badly, and yet they're doing everything right. You can't tell them anything. Oh, no, I've got to do this way because so-and-so and so-and-so. But you're failing. You're not making any money. You're losing customers. Oh, no, that's all their fault. The gym system doesn't work and your franchise is always useless. That's the difference in attitude. If you can be the kind of person that says, what can I do better? How can I change things? Okay, there's problems out there. What can I do to make it better? And if you take that attitude and keep on looking and listening and learning and stay with the system and go to meetings and talk to your franchisor and talk to your fellow franchisees and just keep on learning and never be satisfied. Nothing is ever good enough. You always can do better.
That's great advice from Jim, and thanks for watching, Darren.
I know I've said it 100 times. People who've heard me, I always say the same thing. But honestly, it is the choice. People have this idea. You get a brainwave. And suddenly it's bang. It's like, say, Jim, why don't you fund this division? Yeah. Great idea. New division. Bang, suddenly $1 million business. No, it doesn't work that way. Ideas are so cheap. Yep. It's the day-to-day decision, how you do it, how you train, how you lay out the website, how you market it, how you support people, how you extend, how you pick the million different little decisions that you've got to make every day. That's what makes people successful.
Great question, Darren, as you can see.
It doesn't matter where you start from, too. That's the whole point. People think you've got to have big money. It's not true. It doesn't matter where. Start somewhere and constantly improve what you do. And the one good thing, and I think about a franchise is this, a good franchise system, it's a great place to learn. The best people are people who just keep on coming on, take advantage. Talk of the network. When I was mowing lawns, I didn't have this. I had to learn for myself. And when I became a franchisor and I had franchisees who were talking about the way they did things, I reckon I learned more in the first 3 months than I had in the previous 3 years. Because I had people. I actually wanted to get out there and start mowing lawns again because I thought all this dumb stuff I used to do, I could do it so much better. And I was mowing lawns 15 years. And yet when I started to talk with... So that's the crucial thing. You learn from other people. And learn from books. Learn from audio. Just learn from everybody and everything and look at all the time. How can I do it better?
That's a fantastic clip there. Thanks for that one, Darren. There's always I see you're a Souths fan. There's always a random Souths fan. Then Jossie Brock's going, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Jim and Joel, and everyone watching. Warm wishes from Jossie from Jim's Bookkeeper. I think you've watched everyone, Jossie, so thanks for tuning in.
Well, you've got to want to come to our premiere event next year.
Yes.
Be our guest.
So someone's corrected me. So David Don says the 11th is a Monday. So the 11th is the training week. The Wednesday will be the 13th, sorry. Yeah. So the Wednesday the 13th will be the barbecue.
At 7 o'clock, same time.
Yeah.
But be part of the live audience, have a meal on us.
So we'll put an event card up. Make sure you just respond so we know how many of you can come if you can. And then we'll keep following up. Eric Jurgen says, I had a successful operation on his knee. So Eric's had a knee operation. And you know what? The customers love you when you get back to visit them 2 days after and you cheer them up as you walk in the door and give them their coffees. Huge shout out to my wife who filled in for me doing my round while I have been off. It will be back to full-time hopefully in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So 2 days after the operation, he's out there, back there slinging lattes again.
Gotta be tough.
Then Heidi McDonald says, Dave McDonald, I think you've been saying that for 2 years straight. So Heidi's from Jim's Antennas saying to David, you've been saying that for 2 years straight. Mm-hmm. So maybe this is the year.
I wish more of our franchises would put on workers. I mean, we've got 30% unserviced leads and there's so much opportunity there. You can imagine a business where work is essentially unlimited. Who wouldn't love to be in that situation? So yeah, try a worker, put them on. Don't get discouraged too easily. That's the thing people do. They put somebody on, they don't work out, they give up. Now, sometimes you might have to try 5 different people to find somebody who's good. And then you've got to learn how to be the good kind of boss so they want to keep on working for you, which is a big thing.
We're releasing a video with Dan Cahill who tells how he hires staff. He uses like the McDonald's philosophy with his staff. And he's pretty, not brutal, but he's like, if they don't have it on the first day, nah, just that same one else. Then we have one here from, where is it from here? Adam Nichols. Jim, with Joe Biden now officially elected as president, what do you think he will achieve over his term? What would you like to see him do? Good question from Adam.
Well, see, the difficulty is I'm sort of on the conservative side of politics overall, but I'd certainly prefer Biden to Trump because he's just more consistent. I think rebuilding alliances around the world. I mean, look, what he does domestically is a different issue. I mean, you're trying to do something about their dreadful health system and so forth.
That's it.
They spend double as much as we do per person, and yet, quarter population's uninsured. It's terrible. So you can't do much about that. But certainly international alliances and so forth, I think some consistency. And look, the world's a pretty perilous place right now, and I'm concerned about China. Like most of us are. They're getting very, very unpleasant and aggressive, and they're having a go at us, and we need to stick very close to the Americans, and I think Biden's a good guy for that.
It's a bit of a real-life diplomacy game, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you got to talk about that. You're Italy, aren't you?
I am Italy, yes.
I'm going to have a discussion with you about that.
I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to talk. I mean, yeah, I know. I've got my strong alliance in the background going, so...
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to talk about.
It's a bit of a stalemate at the moment, so there's not much we can do there. So, but what do you think? Actually, this is a good one. Whilst we get questions and comments, and make sure if you are put a comment or a question in, you're going. There's like 10 things here plus sharing. So just put anything you want in there. And this is the last one in this format, so just get it in. I was going to say there as well. Dave McDonald says, "How do you think we should deal with China regarding the trade?"
Well, we can't be weak. We can't back down. There is talk about putting a cost on top of the iron ore we export to China that may be going a bit too far. But I just don't think we can seem to be back down or be weak at all in any way, because once you back down to a bully, they'll keep on bullying you, and we just can't accept that. We're not a poor country. We don't need to be pushed around. I mean, look, what do you get? 26 million people.
26 million, yeah.
It's not big by the standards of China, but it's actually a medium weight in the world. We are one of the richest countries in the world per capita.
Absolutely,
and we've got a fair bit of. We've got a pretty good economy. We've got good raw materials. We've got natural resources. We're pretty strong. I don't think we should be treated with contempt. It annoys me, actually. I mean, I love China, especially from the point of view. My wife comes from there, and she's wonderful. But the way the government's behaving right now is appalling, and we just can't be seen to kowtow out of that.
Yeah, what do you think their end goal is then?
They want to bully people to get them to come into the Chinese orbit. In their view, if they push us hard enough, okay, China, what do you want us to do? Yes, we'll stop criticising you and we'll break our alliance with the Americans. We'll do whatever you want because we're so scared of you. That's what they think is going to happen. I think they're just very foolish. They don't understand Australia at all. They think we're going to be governed by fear, but in fact, Australians are getting fed up with them.
Yeah, well, their tactics of hurting the local producers, I really don't like this. So make sure you buy Australian wines and all that sort of crayfish and those things. Hopefully, people buy a lot of those up and to offset it. Yeah.
I think we ought to become less dependent on China as much as we possibly can. We should be buying elsewhere. We should be trying to find alternative markets, even if we don't make quite so much money. I mean, they are
working on it. I think they're working on a new trade alliance with India and Japan. Yes. So Japan and India, Australia are doing a thing as well.
It's the Quad, isn't it? What do they say?
Yeah.
India, Japan, Australia. What's the other country?
I didn't know there was one more. So
it's called the Quad.
Okay. I didn't know there was one more.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
We have got to form other alliances and stuff.
Well, what they're doing to countries around them in the South China Sea is a disgrace. They're giving them these big loans for infrastructure and all that sort of stuff, and they know they can't pay it back, and then they.
I know. If I was in the Philippines or Vietnam or somewhere, I'd be more worried about it. We're a long way away, and we've got a very, very good friend in the Americans. I think when we invaded Iraq, I was furious. I was really so angry. I said, this is completely stupid. This is senseless. It will not help. All you'll do if you get rid of one dictator, you replace them with a worse dictator or chaos. And we actually got both. Afghanistan's a disaster too. I mean, in neither sense, this whole dreadful war makes no sense at all. But one thing I didn't think at the time is that it's one way of keeping in good with the Americans. Because, in a sense, it's a sacrifice for no reason other than the fact that we can be on side with the Yanks, so that that we support them, so when the chips are down, they'll support us. And I think that's more and more important. It's becoming obvious we really, really need the Americans. I hope they're talking about building a big base up north. I think we should.
In Darwin?
Yeah. That's what we should be doing. We should just be encouraging, getting right in close with them, and being the best friend we possibly can. And I think, especially with someone like Joe Biden, who's I think a fairly principled character, I think that's going to work.
Well, there we go. I wouldn't be an Ask Jim without a lot of politics. So if you've got any questions and comments, put it in there as well.
Mind you, Trump wasn't bad for Australia either. He really wasn't. He really did try and look after us. I think we are sort of almost the best buddy to him. But that's the way we should be. It's a dangerous world, and we need friends.
Absolutely. Then Adam Nichols has gone here, Jim, and with... Oh, sorry, not that one. Dave McDonald, here we go. All right, so Mick Niles gone, Jim, with all the crazy floods going on now in NSW, conversation about climate change has to be brought up again. What must the government do to combat this? It's a great question from Mick.
Yes. I think climate change is a very real danger. But I do think the way they're approaching it is really feeble and pathetic and useless. For example, subsidising solar panels is really bad. It's picking a particular technology and pouring money into it. And the problem with that is it also tends to feed... It subsidises wealthy people, like myself too. We're getting solar panels put on all over. It subsidises the wealthy, and it screws the poor people who can't afford to put solar panels in rented houses. So you're basically taking from the poor and giving to the rich. And it's ineffectual. What you should do, what the government should do, is run a pretty hefty carbon tax. Really hefty. Start slow, but build and build and build, and then take that money and give it back equally across population. Because that is not only more effective, because people can then do things like insulation and all kinds of things. They'll pick the most effective way to reduce their power bills, but it actually takes from the wealthy and gives to the poor. That is one thing. And the other thing we should be doing is we should be really subsidising research in every possible way. That is by far the most effective way of dealing with climate change. And if we're serious, we've got to do these things.
I think Australia should put our platform for technology. We're so behind with the world with technology for renewables.
But pushing for electric vehicles is another thing too. You're subsidising electric vehicles. That's senseless. Again, it's rich a thing. You're paying for rich people to have their playthings and their virtue signalling, but it's the cost of everybody else who can't afford it. So solar. I mean, electric cars are a great concept, but they're not there yet.
Nah.
They're not. It's not commercially viable. So subsidies, picking subsidies and that kind of stuff is a really bad way. It's got to be a carbon tax and research. And then if we do that, then we can really make an impact against it. Also, a lot of policies are really, really cross. For example, you can go 10 minutes from there. This is right close to the station. You've got a place like Coldstream, and you can see grassy meadows with cattle on them, with grazing animals. Mm-hmm. And now, that's not good for the environment. Why not say, let's do a subdivision, but on the condition that you plant masses and masses and masses of trees. You lock up the carbon into the trees rather than grassland, because grass and animals is not really good for it, especially when it's good quality land. And at the same time, what you then do is you make houses more affordable, so people can afford to live closer in, so they travel less, so they burn less carbon dioxide, produce less carbon dioxide in their cars. So you're actually helping the environment, and you're making life better for ordinary people. Too many times we do things that are so feeble, that don't really help the environment, and really screw the ordinary person at the expense of the well-off. Around here, you've got strawberry farms. 5 minutes from the station and shops, strawberry farms. That makes no sense. Anybody can tell you that to actually cut down your carbon footprint, people need to be able to live closer together, because it's far more energy efficient. So let's have some policies that actually really, really work on reducing our carbon footprint and helping to save the planet, but also try to help people who are less well off, instead of saying, let's do the most feeble things you can imagine, as long as they enrich the rich and they impoverish the poor. It's just a stupid way of going about it. And this whole business about green wedge infuriates me. It sounds environmental. It's the opposite. You're blocking people from living close to shops and schools and everything else and work, and forcing them to live a long way out. It's black anti-environmental thinking. They call it green. It's not green at all.
I've got a comment here from Darren Allard, Jim for PM. So there's always a Jim for PM, a Jim for politics every week.
I would not be good at that kind of thing. I can sound off, but I couldn't be part of a party, because if I was in the party, you couldn't say things like that.
No, you wouldn't be allowed to.
Because you've got to worry about... There's an interesting show on Stan called The Hollow Men,
Okay.
Which is
So
you watch
good.
that.
Been behind the camera said
It's very funny. It really is. I really got a belly
It's
laugh.
advisors, yeah.
Yeah, and there are all these advisors talking about different ways of doing it, and
Spin it.
all the stuff that goes wrong. It's all about public perception. It's just I'm just laughing at it, but it's quite painful.
Have you seen Utopia too?
So Ben just saying Utopia from behind. No?
It's,
Which is
it's the
Utopia?
same makers. It's the same people that made it.
Oh, is that the one about the one where they make the
Infrastructure.
infrastructure? Yeah, I watched that one too. It's the same guy,
Yeah.
Tony, but he's the good guy in that one. Now he's the bad guy. He's really good though. He's really funny. They come up with these most inane ideas, and it's all about show and they can show how all these good policies. The one I was watching last night was about the this company trying to get this drug approved that was completely overpriced and ineffectual. There's this and the way they use public pressure to put pressure on these people to the government to approve it, even though it's against the interest of the taxpayers, and there's just as effective medications out there, and the way they put these advertisements together and stuff like that, the kind of games they play, which is 1,000 times worse in America. At least we try to do that right here. But just talks about the kind of pressures that put on government. It's all about spin. It's all about the way it appears and all these terrible decisions that he made. It's really very good, actually. It's funny. It's well made. Tony is very, very funny. I love him when he gets some sort of inane idea. Oh, let me put for that. It's a great series, Hollow Man. And I know I don't like the ABC very much, but but the Hollow Man is really, really good.
So Stan Hollow Man's recommendation from Jim. Well, Neil Simpson's got any hi Jim and Joel. Merry Christmas and great show tonight. Thank you. So make sure, guys, if you are watching, sit in there, what you are, leave some comments, some questions, shares, because there's like 10 things here. So we'll try and give it to each one. So just put questions and comments, politics, anything it can be.
I love politics. I must say, I don't like talking about business, but we ask the same questions.
Yeah, you can only do so much. But politics is great. You've seen what Jim has been saying tonight. It's been fantastic. So
I talk about this kind of stuff in my book, actually, in Jim's book, the green one, the Catherine, the Catherine did.
It's a good book, The Green One. It's really easy to read. I recommend it.
We've got to buy the rights to that.
Yeah, we do need the rights to it.
I'll get hold of them and just offer to buy the rights so we can actually just get it out, because it's really not too bad at all. It gives a different side. It's a bit more personal than my business book.
Yeah, no, it's a good book. It's a great book, I reckon. Just read it. Peter Timms has gone, what do you think will happen to the unemployment rate at the end of the JobKeeper scheme? Do you think the worst is yet to come? It's a great question from Peter.
No, I don't actually. I think the economy will actually recover quite fast. That's my opinion. I mean, there really is work around. You know, there's so much business, and a lot of the hurt's been to tourism and restaurants and so forth. But that's coming back now already. So, and let's face it. I mean, it's tragic for somebody who lost their business, like lost a restaurant. And I really feel for people who are in that situation. But while people want to go out, somebody will start another restaurant. The building's sitting there vacant. There's a kitchen there. Somebody will come along and set it up, and they'll service that demand. I don't honestly think there's going to be a long-term problem.
I mean, interesting with insurance policies, but did you see the regional travel voucher scheme? So the government's giving you $200 for every $400 you spent. And what do you think happens? Everyone tries to go on at the same time to get the vouchers. Website crashes. So I tried to get the voucher because to go back home and I couldn't get the voucher. Another good old Andrews.
I think all these government schemes. Look, it's like when you've got a left-wing socialist type government like Daniel Andrews. He basically thinks, well, people are basically idiots. I'm the only smart one in the country, so therefore the only way you can get things moving is by artificial government actions. You've got to do something. He doesn't understand that actually, in fact, if you just lift your foot off our necks, will actually achieve a great deal more than you could ever achieve for yourself.
You have done well in this panel last week with these guys. You would have been right around.
Well, seriously, I mean, what he did, and I know I brought it up again, but this thing of shutting down the independent contractors, that cost millions and millions and millions of dollars and suffering and everything else, and there was no reason at all. There was no health reason at all. Now, he's done that. Done so much damage, and yet he'll think I can spend a few $1 million of taxpayers' money on some artificial subsidy and that'll be more effective. No, you stuff us around so much, you do so many bad things, and in taking money from the public or borrowing money, because our credit rating's now gone down a bit, which is a bit alarming, and then spending it on some artificial scheme that you think is good is the worst way. It's Maoist type thinking.
Well, I had a lady at the end of the event last week come up to me and says, once she knew who I worked for, and said, your boss done a great thing with what he did. And she goes, I work at the council by the way. She goes, I work at the council by the way, and we all thought it was ridiculous. that their guys could go out and work in groups and stuff like
The
that.
council workers thought so too.
Yeah.
They've even told us. They said, we support you guys. This is ridiculous.
They were sending in photos.
Yeah. I
No,
know. I don't want to knock the council workers either. They're
Definitely
good, they're good blokes and they deserve that
You
support.
should buy a franchise though, because you can.
Yeah, you make more money with
Yeah,
franchisees than you would working for the bloody council, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The Dave McDonald says you can't take from the wealthy run the country.
They jolly well do. That is absolutely true. See, the one thing about Trump is this. He was an awful man. He still is an awful man, of course, even though he's not president anymore. But he spoke for the needs of the disadvantaged in the country against the elites. And to some extent, even though he wasn't a very good spokesman, he's a billionaire and he's corrupt and everything else. I mean, he's not a nice man. But to some extent, he spoke for people who don't normally get spoke for. And that is the problem. You've got elites of education and you've got elites of wealth, and they will run the country between them, and they alternate in power.
Well, the arrogance of the left, Pete, it needs to start dying down. I think people coming out and speaking.
But even the right, even the Conservatives aren't so much better. You know, and this was interesting too, because when we talk about the Hollow Man, this series, one of the problems with it was this company, this big American multinational drug making company, they're big donors to the Liberal Party, and so it was kind of like actually I don't think that you know whether it's Liberal or Labor, but they're big donors to the party. So here's this huge companies paying all these vast amounts of money. Judging that buys influence. It's the best government money can buy, and these big companies have enormous. It's actually a lot worse in America because their elections are obscenely expensive.
Why lobbies? They call them lobbyists. Why are they allowed?
Well,
why should they even be allowed?
There should be some way of getting away from this influence. I mean, I would reckon the best way, and people may not like this, is to actually forbid anybody to give money to political, apart from a small individual donation. And basically there should be government subsidies and we should pay it from the taxpayer, because the cost of allowing people to subsidise and to fund political parties is gigantic. It distorts things so badly. Like in America, they spend far more time, the drug companies spend far more money lobbying politicians than they actually do researching for drugs. They spend more time money marketing for drugs than they spend on the research. And this is all supposed to be for the research. But that's not, the system is so corrupt, not necessarily in a technical sense. But when you have some vast company giving hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to the political party, you cannot tell me they do that out of the goodness of their heart. They do it because they're buying decisions in their favour. And you can jolly well bet your bottom dollar it's not in the favour of ordinary people. And that's why this Hollow Man thing was so good, because it talked about that. It showed how this government, this money that they got, was basically there to screw the taxpayer, to pay for medications which really are no better than what's out there, but at vast cost. And that's exactly how the system works. That's why it's so good to see this kind of stuff. So even though I'm not a fan of Daniel Andrews, and if anything, I'd more likely vote Liberal because they do tend to support small business. I mean, the commercial pressures, the way that the big businesses can buy influence, even from the Liberal Party, is pretty bad.
Absolutely. Well, we've seen heaps of things going on with these corruptions and all that sort of stuff. It's crazy.
And it's a pity. You know, I reckon really seriously, if the Labor Party of today was more like the Labor Party of Bob Hawke, I'd probably vote Labor. I honestly would. At the moment, it's Labor Party's been taken over by these intellectual inner city, you know, like the ABC and so forth, the greeny elites, the comfortable, educated, middle class, live in the city, really couldn't give a stuff about ordinary people. Wouldn't have any idea how they live or how they think or what their interests are. They're all about posturing and stuff like that. That's what's taken over the Labor Party. They don't represent ordinary people anymore. I've been reading about, this is Peter Fitzsimons, I was just finished looking at Ned Kelly and talking about what's going on in the 19th century, and you see the struggle between the wealthy squatters who control the country and the ordinary workers who are trying to sort of get access to some of the better land, which they're locked out of. And it's the struggle of the ordinary people against the elites, which has been going on for hundreds of years. And I tell you what, the ordinary people aren't winning.
Definitely not. And the fam dinner's gone here. What kind of Christmas time boss are you, Jim? A generous one like the boss who just gave his staff $1 million worth of shares each, or a Scrooge McDuck? Now I don't know who put that question in there, but someone's put that in there. One boss did give his staff $1 million worth of shares. That was in America.
in the UK it was like 400 staff.
Yeah, 400 staff. For there was some digital startup, or they had like 10 e-commerce brands under his banner or something like that.
Well, no, nothing much. No. I try and be a nice boss. What we do, for example, on a Thursday here, we have a staff lunch. But in recent times, because there's not so many staff, we just say to every department, go and order what you want and give it to Denise, and we'll pay for it. And we're building a
gym racquetball. Yep.
A gym racquetball centre, and a lot of the reason for that is for staff. So. And you try and look after staff, and we actually, virtually everybody in national office gets paid over the award. In fact, I don't know anybody who's paid the minimum wage at all. So, and then you try and listen to people and respect them. And so, in a sense, not necessarily at Christmas time, we try to be a good boss, but it's not really altruism as such. It's actually just good business practice, because you want people to want to work here, and we do tend to have fairly stable staff. We don't lose a lot.
Absolutely. No, Jim's a good boss, a fan. He's a good boss.
But I'm not big on generous Christmas presents.
No, it's not like the whole tradition. What do they do? The big Christmas bonus or something you see in National Lampoons? Nothing like that.
No.
And then David Don says, Jim, Joel and crew, I collect Lego. I've got more than the kids, apart from franchisees. What do you collect, Jim? That's a good one, David. Well done.
I collect books, actually.
Books. Yeah, that's books. No-brainer. Books,
whenever I go online anywhere, they're always chasing me with books, because I buy so many books all the time. So I'm known as the internet knows me as a book buyer. So I think I collect more books than anything else. I like to collect franchisees, actually. I like them to grow up all the time. That probably gives me great satisfaction.
Well, you're doing a pretty good job at the moment, and people can do their own with the Monopoly game as well. So I'm just plugging the Monopoly in the background as well.
But my hobbies are things like scientific research and those kind of things too. So that's where I blow all my money, not such as there is of it.
Well, it's good to hear you still collecting Lego, David. That's good. Big kid. It's good.
I think Lego's really fun, actually.
I like Lego.
I think it's a great tool. We had giant Lego for my older kids when they were younger. Younger ones don't seem so interested.
I hate Lego.
You can just do wonderful things. Like I just used to have on the kitchen table, and you just build like huge towers and stuff and give the impression of scale. It's a really good thing, Lego.
So it's a great toy.
Actually, I think it's a pity in a way, though. It's moved towards all these
adults now.
No, it's these purpose-built things where you only build one thing. It's like a identikit. I think the fun of Lego is when you actually can build anything you want to. It's that wide imagination.
Well, they're moving into the adult market, so they've got a lot of you can build like a Lamborghini now, or like a full-scale plane, or the Star Wars things. You can do that sort of stuff.
I think it's fantastic when they have the displays, when you go there and you see the Lego world being built. It's really.
There was a TV show, Lego Builders. I think it was on like Channel 9 or something. There's actually a TV show, reality show with the whole Lego building thing.
Yeah, Lego is good stuff, and it's really beautifully made.
Absolutely. Then Jim's group's gone. So Paul Grace has gone here. Describe your perfect day, Jim, from Paul Grace.
Oh, my perfect day. Well, it's a working day, that's for sure. It's a day when things get done, when things happen, when we've got a new training system that actually helps us to get more franchisees. There's a new idea coming through. It's a day when I talk to a franchisee in the evening, or franchisees, my veterans, and they tell me how happy they are that they ever joined us, and what difference it's made to their lives, and how they see their kids. And I have lunch with my wife, or have a date with my wife. I enjoy that very much.
So most days, the perfect day sounds like it's good.
Well, not every day is as good as that. Not every day we have great things happen, but most days are pretty good. But it's definitely a working day, a day when really productive stuff happens, when things are moving ahead, when people are happy. I tell you what, the biggest buzz I get probably is hearing a franchisee successful.
Yeah.
It really makes me feel everything's worthwhile.
Tell Jim, guys, if you are a successful, happy franchisee, you never email Jim.
Well, franchisees do that. Actually, they do that. They email me sometimes, just say how much I appreciate it. I tell you, whenever I see those, and I get quite a few of them, I just feel a warm glow. It's really it's the greatest present there is. It's more than any financial thing you could give me. It's just to know that somebody is satisfied, and somebody says, "Jeepers, it's so good." I really, really get something out of it. It's when people tell me that they see their kids.
Yep.
I often ask people, especially when I do my anniversary calls, like the 10, 15 and so forth, I often ask what they were doing beforehand and what the difference is. And yes, they say they make more money, usually that's what they say. But the thing you often say is they talk about their family. They say, if I hadn't done this, I would not have seen my son growing up.
The greatest one I've read is the Julius one from Julius Sanders in Northern Territory. He was broke, all this sort of stuff, and then he wrote you the massive thing, which we posted online. Just great to hear. Changed his life.
I get a lot of satisfaction of people who become rich too. I mean, I don't mind. I know I talk against wealth a great deal, but I think somebody who started off in a very ordinary situation, someone like Hader, and he's done so well for himself and so many other people, that really that's really a buzz to me. I feel very proud of the Jim's millionaires out there.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Absolutely.
A lot of them are doing extraordinarily well. Sometimes people actually make money that I cannot comprehend how a person can make, $2 million a year running a mowing business. Because I wasn't that good as a mowing contractor. I really wasn't as good as a lot of these guys are. And just how they do it and the way they use their extras and the way they control their staff and stuff and manage to get good customer service ratings at the same time. I take my hat off to these guys. They're fantastic.
I don't know if you could brag that we do have Jim's Millionaires, which we do, don't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is actually like the Millionaire Next Door, which I often talk about. This is an actual not uncharacteristic of rich people who actually start doing these kinds of jobs, because ordinary people turn up their noses and say, "Oh, I wouldn't want to work with my hands." And this has happened. I mean, I know I've said this before, but Sharon Connell, when she was looking at taking a cleaning franchise, because she was a hospital administrator, and she thought, I don't want to be a cleaner because a cleaner's kind of like lower. But then she actually read my book, and as I said many times, Sharon Connell reading my book justified everything we ever spent on every book we ever made. So she bought the book. She said, yes, I like this values. I like looking at things. Bought a franchise, bought a regional franchise, became the most successful cleaning franchisor in history, took over the dog wash division. She started when it had about 60 franchisees. It's now past 150. By the end of this year, it probably had about 250 the way she's going. And she is going incredibly well. Now, I don't know about lifestyle because she works so hard all the time.
She's a machine.
She is an incredible machine. But the fact of the matter is, when you see somebody who's made so much of their lives like that, that is so satisfying.
We went down the road with a couple of franchisees and it was good hearing their stories. One bloke said, this is a testimony which we haven't released yet, but the guy said his last job was so stressful, he reckons if he didn't have the franchise, he would have been dead by now. That's what he said. I shouldn't censor that, but that's what he literally said. He reckons if he stayed doing what he was doing, he would have died from stress. And now he goes, like, my clients every day work with dogs. It's great. Therapeutic, he said.
The really sad thing is, I tell you what, if I had one thing I could work for, is some kind of a magic mirror that I could shine on somebody and say that person will fail. If I could knock out that 10% or whatever it is of franchisees who don't make a successful thing of it, that is the one thing I would really, really, really love to have. Because it's so great to see people succeed, and most do. We know that 90% of franchisees in the surveys report good or satisfactory income. We know our attrition rate is low. It's only about 10.5% go in the first year, and they certainly don't all fail, that's for sure. But when a person fails, it's very hurtful, very painful, and that I can never get used to that. If I could work out some way of doing it. In fact, we're actually going to do a experiment, something that I've never talked about. We're doing a lot of studies of epigenetics. We're looking at the epigenome, looking at the way that genes are turned on or off. And I believe that's the key to character. Now, one of the things we want to do is to actually get our trainees to be prepared to spit into a test tube and take a sample, not of their own genes, but of their what's called the epigenome, in other words, which is a certain indication of character. And then I want to use that, and it'll be anonymously done, to see how well they go, to see if we can actually work out a way of telling who's likely to succeed and who isn't.
Okay.
If we could develop that technology, it'd be fantastic for us. But, of course, it'd also be a fantastically good business wider, and we'll certainly take patents on it if we can work out something.
Absolutely. It's a very valuable patent for any employer, I would think.
No, I hope to have that underway in the next 2 or 3 months.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I want to whip through some questions here, Jim, because we've been going for the Jim's political half an hour in the middle. Darren Allard says, Jim, you're a smart man and know your stuff. You're more than a CEO of a great Aussie company. Your knowledge about the world around us, the environment and political issues is amazing.
Thank you.
More common sense and answers to problems every day. It's a really nice testimonial there. You're definitely angling for a few of these things. And then Adam Nichols going real quickly, Jim, who is your favourite PM?
Bob Hawke.
Bob Hawke?
Yeah, I love Bob Hawke. I really do. I don't know if I actually voted for him. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I just think he's a good guy. He's the kind of guy that you'd like to have a talk with. He's a man of the people. He's an ordinary man. I mean, there's been other good PMs too. I liked John Howard. And
I like John Howard. He's my favourite one.
But Hawke was good. He's just, I remember after the America's Cup win, he just got on and he said, listen, if anybody sacks What did he say? If anybody sacks a guy for not turning up for work today, he's a mug.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, I love Hawkins.
The boss is a bum or something, wasn't it?
The boss is a bum.
The boss is a bum.
It's just.
You could scull a bit at the cricket.
He's the only person that's ever been to England on a Rhodes Scholarship and come back with a thicker Australian accent.
Very good point. Damien Don says accommodation is booked in Vic and has been for weeks. We can't get accommodation to go away. We will do some day trips. Absolutely, David. Or take the swag or something. Sleep outside. Eric Jurgen says if you want to give someone the perfect gift for Christmas, then give them a night out at a local restaurant, as it's great for the person you give it to, and it also helps out the small business. Or a Jim's voucher, of course. Of course, we have Jim's gift vouchers.
Foothills too.
And Foothills, yeah, they could stay at Foothills. They could do everything.
I think eating out is good, actually. I mean, we just typical local pizza joint or something like that. But I reckon eating out it's a really fun thing. We've missed out on so much. It's just good to go out with the family. It's an occasion. Doesn't mean that the food is always incredible. We never eat anywhere that elitist. But it's just good to do it. And I hope people will get back into that.
Do you ban the phones at the table? You better say everyone put them in line.
Well, I try to. I will confiscate my wife's phone on occasion. She's the worst, actually. I put it in my pocket. Yeah, going out to lunch with her is a bit of a challenge. After a time, if we get sick of it, I go, okay, take it. I just hide it away from her. I just love eating out. I think it's a fantastic thing. We've missed it so much.
And then Craig Watson says, hi, do you give your staff a bonus from Craig? So he's a franchisee.
No, we don't give Christmas bonuses.
No.
We just try and be nice to them all year round.
And someone's gone here, Denise Taylor, we're looking forward to 2 weeks off over busy Christmas. Been a big, busy year for us and looking forward to a break. So Denise started in end of March and 4 or 5 employees already flying.
Wow, yeah.
They're in cleaning group. So well done, guys, and thanks for coming on.
Look, I don't blame anybody for wanting a break. I know I'm weird.
I'm drained. I'm drained.
I just work energizes me. Actually, I'm more likely to get slack and down if I'm not working.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't want to stop.
And Eric Jurgen says, Jim, I know the perfect gift that you could get for Joel, and something that he may not have gotten from you in the past. It's called a compliment. Okay. He's given me a few in the past. I
actually do tell Joel. Not necessarily. I might make fun of his expanding girth in these sessions.
Oh, gee whiz. You know what? I had my dad. I haven't spoken to him in probably 10 years. All right, I'm trying to reconnect with relation, personal story, and I sent him a video of an interview I did. He first back he goes to me, you need to lose some weight. In 10 years of speaking, that's what he says to me.
No, I do tell this guy good things. He's done some great stuff actually. Like a lot of the things we're doing now with social media and so forth, with Facebook. Just as an example, like he's worked out better ways of using Facebook to get better quality leads through, and there's a lot of things to do with the video team too, which is Joel's initiative as well.
Yeah, I think
this whole thing with Ask Jim, which I think has been helpful because I know a lot of franchisees have come out of it.
Well, absolutely. I think people come to training and watch 8, then come along. It's their due diligence. They watch this thing, which has been great, and it's a good source of news as well for franchisees to come on and reconnect with the company, I think. I get a lot of emails from people saying, what we're doing is really unique and good. So I'll tell you why, because we had a retail food group issue. Obviously, they're in the media again, and my friend's taken on the marketing manager of Donut King, which is one of their companies. And I said, I don't want to be in your position. I don't know how
you showed me the chart of their share price, and it's just gone from there to just...
Oh, it's crazy.
It's just about wiped out the company. These greedy, immoral, selfish idiots who just look to their own short-term interests and they screw their franchisees. I couldn't think of anything more opposite to everything that I believe in.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know how they're going to put any franchisees on. If you do your research on it, who the hell would buy it?
Who would?
No.
And the numbers have just dropped like a stone. It's appalling behaviour. I just go, what kind of psychopath would do a thing like that? What they've done? It's stupid and it's evil and screwing people who are less valuable than me. Did you see the thing about what is it? Alan Bond?
No, what's happening with Alan Bond?
There was a program about Alan Bond, and it was all about the winning the America's Cup and this kind of stuff and all the adulation that he had. But then the way he treated the pub owners, these people screwed out of their own business, and one of them committed suicide. I mean, that was just nasty. Here's a man who's a multi-millionaire, squillions of dollars, and he actually wipes out these poor individual pub owners. It was just appalling. I don't like the guy, I must say.
The old Alan Bond, dodgy man.
Oh, but that I find hard to because I identify so much with small business owners. When you see somebody who takes on the little business owners and screws them into the ground, that's just disgusting.
Absolutely. Well, retail food, I don't know how they're going to come back from it. I don't think they can. I remember they released a crappy little statement. I shouldn't swear, but they released a little statement in regards to it. And it's just like, it's with our lawyers pretty much. They said, be transparent, come on the front foot. Be some honest or something, I just don't understand.
I don't think those guys have a moral bone in their body, but the point of it is too. It's immoral. It's wrong. It's evil. It's psychopathic. It's also stupid from a business point of view.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like when you talk about business and you say the only purpose of business is to make money for the shareholders. Well, that's a stupid, crappy idea because you can't be thinking that way because if you do, you'll end up. You don't think about your customers, you don't think about your employees, you don't think about your suppliers, you don't consider those people. And yes, in the short term you may make more money, but in the end, if you don't look after the people, then your business is going to suffer. It's not just a matter of morality, it's about a good business sense.
I just don't know how they can. I just don't even know how they can sell anything. If you're researching one of those companies, that's going to come up now for years. You can't get rid of it. What can you do?
Why? I know it's self-serving, but why are we successful? We took a very radical approach right from the beginning. I was going to make my franchisees successful. That was my number one idea. And people said, you're mad to do this. Why do you do this kind of stuff? Why do you allow franchisees to vote out franchisors? Why do you let them veto changes to menu? All this stuff that we've done over the years. But the thing is, it works. It's short term, yes, it does cause problems and you have to struggle with things and it's quite political to get things done in gyms at times because you've got so many people who've got a say in what's going on. But it actually works incredibly well. And that's the secret of it. It's not... Good morality and good business really, really work well together. I'm not saying that we're perfect and we've done everything right. Of course we haven't made many mistakes. But
and Cameron Sales has gone, hi Jim, I'm thinking of taking up a Jim's Mowing franchise, but I'm worried it wouldn't work. Any advice?
Yes, I would talk to as many people as you possibly can. The biggest thing that's going to determine your success is you. Honestly speaking, that's the biggest. But after that, your franchisor is very, very important. I would get hold of a list of all the franchisees in the region, and ring as many as you can and talk to them and ask them, what's it like? What's your franchisor like? What's your support like? How much work is there? Though actually you can usually get that from service leads and so forth. Just do some solid research. My experience, people who do that kind of research very, very rarely fail, but probably not just because they don't make bad decisions, but also because if you're smart enough to do your research, you're probably smart enough to listen after you start and do the right and run your business in the right way. In fact, when I talk to franchisors, I would actually say to them, when I teach them, and that's part of in my first session on Thursday morning franchisor training, when you talk about how you select franchisees, I see one of the best signs is somebody who's done their research. The more questions they ask, the more they talk to existing franchisees, the better they're likely to do.
Absolutely. Well, that's great advice there, and we hope you inquire and start your process there, Cameron. Then David Noss says, Joel, did we get a Jim's Lego communication? They have a Bunnings Lego. I'm tired, David. I don't know if I can go and deal with all these toys and stuff. The Bunnings Lego. I don't know how they did the Bunnings Lego. Must have been through a big third party, I reckon. Maybe Haven, I don't know. How would you get the Lego done? I don't know. How would you approach that third party? We got Monopoly done.
So they've got a Bunnings branded Lego.
I think they've got a Bunnings branded Lego. Gyms would be good, actually. Like the trail would work. The gyms would be fantastic. Actually, would work pretty well. The little bead on the man. The Lego for gyms would actually probably be a really good one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. But we don't know it's going to work.
Yeah,
some things seem to fly off the shelves. I think Monopoly's doing pretty well.
Monopoly's still doing its thing, and you can still get some.
I haven't sold a lot of card packs.
No,
yet.
We need these mowing cards. So if you are in mowing, there's
I would have
cost
thought
price.
it's a perfect Christmas present. If you've got 60 clients and a couple of bucks each, $120, and you give a pack to every one of your clients, a unique present for Christmas, reminds them who you are, I think that'd be a fantastic.
Well, these are cost price for franchisees. There's no profit from us. We just want them gone. So they are. It's a great point of difference, isn't it? They'll remember you if you give that. It's a great box too. And then we got one here from Dave McDonald says, I'm in for genome sequencing. So Dave McDonald's saying he'll do the...
Yeah, I'd love you to do it, Dave, actually. Because if I can get my most successful franchisees to actually do this, and we work out how you're different from other people.
How are you going to explain it? You're going to put a bit of time into you're going to propose it a bit, or how are you going to do it?
Well, yeah, we can explain.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be voluntary, but you just have to spit into a tube or something like that. That's how they do it. Normally, I'm not quite sure exactly how we do it, but we just ask them, we say what's involved and what it's for. And as much as anything else, what we want to do is to make sure that fairly small minority of people who shouldn't buy a business, if we could work out who they are.
But if it does work, you think it'd be pretty good technology for employers, I presume, of all.
Yeah, I think so too. Actually, you see, a lot of time you can't tell. You get someone like Megan, who's a fantastic lady. Who would have known? She doesn't interview like she's never had more than a base level job in her life. She's actually one of our most successful managers. She's just good. But how could you tell from an interview? She doesn't come out confident, and she hasn't got the CV. So imagine if you could actually go and you get a whole people applying for a job, and you find somebody who's got no experience, who's got nothing to recommend, that hasn't got a degree, hasn't got anything, but you do them and you do a little test and they spit into it and say, hey, you've got potential.
It'd be an interesting one. Could you could you discriminate on someone based on the genome sequence?
I'm not discriminating. I'm just using it as a tool to try and find somebody.
Genomist.
But what it could potentially do too is give a chance to somebody who doesn't necessarily have. See, what people do now is they say you've got to be educated, you've got to be good at passing exams, you've got to spend 3 or 4 years at a university, and then we'll maybe think about an entry-level job. But what does that really do for you? You don't actually learn anything. It's just a way of saying I've got the persistence to get through this stupid arts degree. I mean, really, honestly. Or law degree or whatever, okay?
Yeah.
But imagine if you could actually look at somebody who's left school and you could just do a number, just spit into a cup, and then we say to them, look, we've got indications that you would be incredibly good at business. We'd like to offer you a trainee position with Jim's group. And we get them in, and then 20 years later they're running the place. Because Fred Turner, he was actually flipping burgers in the McDonald's, their first McDonald's outlet. He was just a burger flipper. He's now he was the chairman of McDonald's, and
the largest real estate company in the world.
Incredibly great person, but normally a person like that would never get the chance to show them. If you could pick people who not necessarily haven't got the education, haven't got the good manner, haven't got the middle class private school education, haven't got the university, haven't got all that sort of stuff, which tends to be associated. If you could find somebody who is a battler, maybe they just none in their family's ever gone to university, for example, someone like that. And you could pick that and find that and say you've got real potential. Let's help you make something, and then they come out to be.
Sounds like a great topic for Malcolm Gladwell. I love Malcolm Gladwell as an author.
Yeah,
he'd love. I don't know if he Outliers. He does Outliers. Is a good book. I've listened of his.
He's really good. I like the 10,000 hours thing.
Yeah, the way he's speaking sounds like it's a Malcolm Gladwell sort of project, I reckon, or something.
Yeah.
That'd be great for him. Then Adam Haman's can you bring back the Jim's Mowing stubby holders back? My father-in-law owns his own Jim's Mowing franchise 18 years ago, and I used to have one, so I'd love to send him one now. There are Jim's Mowing stubby holders. I think if you just go online or get your franchise, or they can purchase them via the LOD portal for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can purchase them from LOD online. I think you need a login or something. So I know franchisors have a lot of stubby holders. So
I must say, Jim's Signs and Uniforms is putting some proposals together for uniforms and so forth, and they're going to do a much better deal. I've seen some of the prices; they're way down. They're about a third less, aren't they?
Oh, they're cheap. Well, whoever does it next year, could be whoever, could be a few players. We don't know. They could.
We want a better deal for our franchisees.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a way better deal for franchisees.
Way better deal.
Yeah.
As with everything else, we don't want to take money ourselves. We're not interested in that.
No.
We just want the best deal. We want the lowest prices.
Absolutely, guys. So we're going to leave it there for the year. So everyone have a really good Christmas and 2021. And the prizes, I'm going to go random at the end, and we're going to pick them and give comments. But on the 13th of January,
they had some great comments there. Everybody put a good comment in, good question.
Absolutely, there's enough to go around. So we're going to do that. So make sure you stay safe, and thanks for everyone's support over the last 2 years as well.
Yep.
And we hope to see you January the 13th for a barbecue, and for everyone who watches this, come to January 13th during training week. So it'd be great to have you there. Maybe even have you on, depending on if you want to come on for a bit to talk about your success.
Yeah. Well, see you then.
Absolutely, guys. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you in 2021.